Okay, welcome. So, second part here. I'm in Blender, and inside of Blender, I actually have I created this in a different tutorial. This is just a box with light and a camera all set up to kind of display furniture. So, if I look at it here in kind of a rendered view, you can see I've got a floor, I've got and even ray traced here, you'll see. Yeah, it's a nice kind of infinite void with good lighting, good fall off, all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to actually bring in that FBX file to here. So FBX chair import. Okay. And then decimal point. And there's our chair. And you can see how it's looking ray traced right now. So I already have a wood material in here that I've brought in from elm polished. Brought this in already from Rhino previously. So let's go ahead and have that selected here. Let me grab my chair parts here, and then go G, Z. Make sure that I'm on the ground plane here. Okay, so that wood looks all right. Let's go over to UV editing here though. Tab over, hit A, and I can see I've got kind of a little bit of a issue, I think, with my backing here. So let's go ahead and UV unwrap it. Smart UV project, 0.001, and see if this looks any better. Let's look at it. In ray traced now. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna leave it like this. It's fine. I think it looked better. Okay. So again, how you can bring in wood material or whatever is actually apply it to your FBX before you export it. So if I go over to my materials here and add a material, I can go up to import material from library, go down here to wood, and I think I'm going to actually, I like African teak. It's a nice dark color, matches the design I've already got. So simple enough, right? There we go. A nice little African teak. Okay. And then if I export this FBX, I can then bring in export selected. I can, I'm going to export it actually as an OBJ file. And you'll see why in a second here. I don't even care what I'm calling it. Okay. So that way I can actually go to my materials here. And let me remove it. I'm in edit mode, object mode, remove it, new, and bring in an image texture. And open. There it is. So when I do an OBJ, it's not inside of the file. That's why I did an OBJ. So if you do an FBX file, you have to re-import the FBX because the FBX is has the material baked inside of it, but it also does things like the roughness and whatnot. But I'm going to go ahead and just make it shiny here. And I would probably tweak that and make it darker, and I can do that in Photoshop and stuff later if I want to, but yeah, and I'm going to do that. So the next step is actually to make this feel like thread and this feel like mesh. If we look at our image reference here, you can see this is thread and this is mesh, right? And so that is going to be a little bit complicated to kind of pull off and maneuver. But I'm also noticing the way that this is dipping is a little different than what I'm expecting or experiencing. So I might change the shape of this surface before I do that. So let me do that real quick. All right, so that looks a little bit more natural. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to create a normal map and do some fun stuff. So let's go ahead and open up Photoshop. Save this first. All right, so if I go to my folder here with my chair in it, I've got some pictures. Let's look at our icons here. Okay, so I'm going to use this image right here for the thread. Okay, so I'm going to open this with Adobe Photoshop. And I used a flash on this, so the value ranges will be very, very uniform. So then I'm going to go ahead and just draw using the rectangle tool here, kind of a rectangle shape. And you know what? Oh, I'm going to do a crop here. Crop. And then rotate a little bit. Just try to get it right where I want. Okay. So that gives me kind of my thread. And then I'm going to go ahead and do canvas size here. Edit, image, canvas size. And it's set up pretty big here, but I'm going to do, actually, let me resize this image size here. I'm going to do pixels, and I'm going to do 512. Oops, 512. And you know what? I'm going to do 512 by 512. Okay. Zoom in on it here. I'll do a little bit bigger. 1024 by 1024. And so I've got my 1024. Okay. So that gives me my thread shape. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Filters, 3D, and generate a normal map from this. Okay. Looks good to me. Detail scale, all good, all good. Okay, perfect. Then I'm going to File, Save As, and I'm going to save this as a normal map. So just call it chair, thread, and M for normal map, and save it. And yeah, it's fine. Perfect. Cool. So then we go back to Blender here, and I'll show you how this is going to work. So if I select one of these, go to my materials here, remove this material, new material, call the new material, chair, thread, enter. Then let's go to shading. Select, with this selected, we're going to come out from the normal here, and we'll pull out normal map. And I do have Node Wrangler as my add-on here, and that's why I can do that. So if you don't know how to do that, just Google it. I went over it previously, but Node Wrangler's turned on here. Okay. Then color, I'm going to pull this out and go image texture. Okay. And then we want to make sure that we've got we're going to open up our thread normal map. Okay. Plugged into the color there. And you can see it's going the wrong direction. Oh no. But all we have to do there is go over to our UV map and select all of this, go R for rotate, and go 90. So now when we look at that, you can see you've got a bit of a thread going on there. Then we go to shading here. We want to make sure that our color space is set up to non-color. Okay. And then we can bump up the strength here maybe to 10, whatever you want it to be. Okay. My roughness, I'm going to turn that all the way up. All right. And then color, I'm going to select kind of a beige-ish tone to it. And if I look at it here, rendered. Oh, that's subsurface color, sorry. Like, why did it change? Okay. And I'm just going to do kind of a placeholder color for now because I'm eventually going to have to change this. All right, so that's going to give us the normal map for the thread. And then you simply just apply this to all the other objects here. So material minus, and we'll do chair thread, boom. Chair thread. And it does seem all of them are going to need to be rotated. Should have just rotated the... Okay, so just go tab back over, UV editing, select R90, enter. Tab over, check. Tab back, select all, R90, enter. Move it back over here. Tab, select, tab, R90, enter, G, move it over. Okay, so that gives us the look we're looking for the thread part. The next part is the mesh here, which is probably the more difficult piece. That's why we're doing it last. Let's go ahead and pull that up here. So for that, I've got this image that I took here, which I've already edited. So I'm going to just go back to it right here and open this with Adobe Photoshop. Adobe Photoshop. Okay. And I took this picture on top of a purple or bright pink, matte, just so that I have a real nice color contrast between the parts that I want to use. You could use any color. Green screen is typical. I don't have a green screen, so I used a pink screen. And then I'm going to come in here and just lasso out a couple of parts. And let's change our color, pick it. Okay. G. Okay, just because those white parts probably be a problem. And then let's lasso again. And that looks pretty good. Okay, cool. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and go to select. I'm going to select a color range. And I'll click right there. Oh, my lasso is still on. Control D to deselect, select color range. And I'll go with you. Cool. Okay. And then I'm going to hit delete. And I'm going to go ahead and keep it like that. Mode normal. Perfect. All right. So now I just have my thread. Perfect. Okay. And down here where we have channels, we also have our RGB station, but if we add another channel, we add an alpha channel. Awesome. So now with the point with the alpha channel is this is basically our transparency channel when we plug it back in under Blender. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to invert the selection. I want to delete the thread out so it's just white where the thread is and black where the negative space is. So I'm going to go up to my selection here and invert and then hit delete. Okay. So now I've got the white and I've got the black, and that's what I want. So now I'm going to just have it like this, Control D to deselect, and then I'm going to file, save it as, and I'm going to save it as a targa, and I'm going to call it mesh. And I'm going to put it in my chair folder here and save it. And I'm going to save it 32 bits. Good. Perfect. Next, we go back to Blender. And we're going to get rid of this material, create a new material, call this material mesh, chair mesh. Okay. And we are going to go over to our shading. All right. And we're going to pull in a image texture to the base color. Boom. Image texture. All right. Open it up. Mesh Targa right there. Perfect. Okay. And we still have some more steps here. So we're going to pull the color channel down here and we're going to put it into our alpha. Okay. Or wait, I'm sorry. We'll do our alpha into our alpha. I think that's it. All right. And if yours doesn't work, you probably don't have, you're missing a setting here. So let's go to our settings. Settings under materials down here to settings. Okay. Blend mode, alpha clip. That's what you need to have. If it's not working the way it should, but it seems to be working fine here. Another thing I can do to give this even more of a visual look and feel and texture is, of course, create a normal map. So with our Targa open, we're going to go ahead and go under View, or I'm sorry, why do I say View? It's under Filter, 3D, Generate Normal Map. Okay, with the normal map here, you want to make sure that your scale looks pretty good. Blur, I'm okay with upping it a little bit. And hopefully we don't crash when we say okay here. So, okay. Next, we go ahead and File, Save As. And then I usually just do NM. Since I've got an existing one, I'm going to keep it. 32-bit pixel rate is good. And I'm going to hit OK. All right, with that saved, we're going to go back over here and we're going to create our normal map. So open up a normal map. Here, boom, place it, pull it over here, image texture, okay, and let's go ahead and put this into shaded view or rendered view here. All right. Oh, make sure, I don't know why I took my color out of the alpha there. Boom, alpha, transparent, nice, texture, open, find our normal map. The one we just created was this one here. Open image. And that should give us a little bit more texture to our object. So I can increase the strength of it. And of course, we don't want any roughness. Or I'm sorry, we want all the roughness. And let's do no specular. All right, that looks pretty good. Then we also want to change this material here. So if I click on this and go to our material window here, we want the color of this to match a little bit more. So I think it seems a little bit too light. So I'm going to darken it down. It still needs a little bit of saturation to it. And that seems like it matches a little bit better. And then again, I mentioned I don't like the background of this one, so I'm going to do a different image texture here, do a dark one. I modified it in Photoshop, So it's darker. That gives it that nice contrast that I'm looking for. And then let's check out the UV map on this. So UV editing here. Okay, and it looks like it is mapped pretty well onto this. What happens if I scale it up a little bit? I'm getting that weird color blend. Yeah, that's fine. It's not seamless, so it's not going to work seamlessly. Okay, so that gives me my chair here. Let's go ahead and switch to my camera view. Rotate around here with the camera view and the modeling here. Let's do my camera view. Boom. Let's make it fit. And put it in rendered here, ray traced, see what it kind of looks like. Get rid of my overlay, tab over. Okay, I feel like the light isn't hitting it quite right yet. Let's rotate. Oops. Find our light here. And I might do a little spotlight too. So let's go Shift A, go to Light, Spot, G, Z, G, X. R for rotate. Let's go over here, change the amount of bounces way down because I want to get a nice dramatic shadow on it. 10 on the bounces, and let's do it at 100 watts. Okay, switch back to our camera view. And let's give it a nice render here and see how it looks. All right, so this is the render results, and you know, it doesn't look perfect. I mean, you can kind of tell that the mesh isn't real, but we're going to be using this as a game asset, not as an actual rendering of the object. If we were going to be doing it that way, I would probably actually just model out all of the thread patterns here. But overall, I think it looks very good, and I'm going to go ahead and just bake this thing as a single object and bring it into my other project. Thank you very much. Hopefully this was helpful.